Oh boy, okay. I'm starting to lose care. I don't even want to open the video with this vibe. I'm totally my apologies. I want to get this done because I actually really do think the basis of this game show is a really cool idea, and I cannot lie that I enjoyed it for the first two episodes. It turned me off immediately, but I came back for like the half of the third episode, and then I think the fourth whole one. It's 4 a.m. right now. I'm deciding to shoot this, and it would have been a little bit before, but we just got stuck watching. We really thought we weren't going to finish the show. I actually have a clip of a raw reaction that I'm going to put towards the end and not in the beginning because I'd rather you see what I had to say before you get that reaction. But in that clip, I'm basically explaining how we already knew the first two that were going to be gone. Like even when the second person who got voted out wasn't the first one that was being gunned for, I knew they would be the second one out the house just based on how everybody was operating in the house. Sadly, the ones who could keep the house together were not, their voices were not being loud enough. They were not being heard. And the only mofo with balls to make his voice loud enough just got the wrong perspectives thrown on him. And it's just like this whole illusion between right and wrong and everything. I don't even want to get into that yet because that is what's messing up my intro for this. But I want to preface this by saying no disrespect or hate towards any of the players. Don't ever send hate or disrespect to them. Um, then what else I gotta say is just that but this is sad though. This made me really realize, holy shit, like humanity is flawed for sure. Like I feel like one of the reasons we incarnate here is to see that humanity has a flaw. Because I guess what I've learned from being just authentically me and being myself and not trying to step on anyone's shoes, but you're gonna ruffle feathers anyways, depending on how your perspectives on the world or whatever, and even if you put yourself out there, that it's like literally being authentic and not trying to step on anyone else and just respecting others like you respect yourself because people are a reflection of you. It's just through this show you are shown that that is not true. It's literally in the title. The trust, a game of greed. It's just hands down, and even how some of the characters, or how some of the players in the game portrayed themselves just felt like wow. Like I just seen so much that I was like, oh. I seen repeats of things that I really wish I did not. Just stereotypes and oh man, and it was just like, bro, it had me thinking the entire time was this all staged. I still am unsure. I don't know if some aspects are. I don't know because it's not necessarily a reality TV show, but you never know. You never know. You never know. It's hard to not. It's just hard to say not being at the scene, not knowing anyone on the project. You just never know. From what I can tell right now, it's not staged, and if it was staged, then damn, it's kind of then it's a good documentary on the darkness within people that when you don't handle or deal with your own darkness, it sways your decisions in such a way where it's like you lose yourself. You let your shadow self win, basically. And that is what I could say these first two episodes have been. Literally, two people that were two of probably the most deserving people got voted off. And it just left a nasty taste in my mouth that I think when one of the characters, which is Julie, said that she felt like whoa, like she kind of woke up at the table and kind of felt like she was disconnecting from the table and realizing that holy shit, she's starting to realize how disconnected everybody was. No, that didn't even feel sincere. Like that should have been felt when the one person got voted off. So when she said it, at the moment she said it, I was like, what? What? This should have been apparent in the beginning. I I don't know. Let's just get into it because I'm tired. I'm gonna be rambling forever, and this video is already gonna be long as it is. So let's just get into it. Dude, this is taking me so long. Just drop the video. Just say what you got to say. Do not be afraid. Oh my goodness. Dude, it's like I'm trying to come at this at a good angle because I don't want to offend everyone who was playing the game or anyone, not everyone, anyone who was involved in the game. Because I think it was a cool cast of players, but I came to the conclusion that this was a very specific selected cast of players based on their viewpoints of the world. When they brought Tola on, or Tolu T, the African pride, the walking Africa advertisement of Black Pride, when they brought her on, I said to myself, like, towards the end, when it got to the end of the show, for sure, she, like, they had to have something in the pre-screening questions or whatever before you went into the show asking, like, how do you intend on playing the game? I don't know if it works the same for all these shows. I've heard back, like, from connects that I have, that sometimes they don't even know what they're getting into. Sometimes it's like you're signing up for a game show and we'll get in contact with you if you're selected or something. Sometimes. I don't know if that's the case for every single game show or whatever. But let me just set some ground real quick. I had everything set up. I had this video segmented into talking about the characters and everything, and I'm going to sort of do this in this part too, and then I'm going to talk about it in the next part as well. But for this beginning section right here, I just want to say, I want you to keep in mind with this entire video and even my perspective on things, I want to put this straight out. I need to put this straight out. I understand it's a game. I totally understand it's a game. But the cool thing about fiction, nonfiction, movies, video games, and everything are these lessons that are implanted inside them if they have really good stories or even if they have really good characters. It's like you can find a deeper meaning in many things. I feel like this game, of course, was built around greed. And with that being said, even if it's a game, it still speaks to a louder thing. Like hopefully for the majority of people, it didn't go over their heads. Like I said in one of the parts I recorded before, I ended up looking up the trailer of the show to try to find how you say Tolu's name, because I didn't want to disrespect her, but I'll just call her African T. So we got African T. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but we got African T. And everyone in the comments, from what I seen, was on the same consensus I was with watching her character throughout the show. Dude. Oh my gosh. All right. Let's get into it. Again, I just want to make this a point. I would never wish hate on anybody. Don't be, because honestly, with the show, another thing that the show did a great job of portraying is showing you just the reason everybody makes decisions, what motivates everyone, how everyone has their own intentions and reasons for making choices and traumas that they have to heal from, and et cetera, et cetera. There's so many reasons for why people do things. And it just shows that people are, even if they seem simple in a sense, multifaceted. It's funny because in the show, it seemed like the people with the most integrity were the most simplest and sweetest of people. And the game, I do actually like how it ended, but not in a sense for one reason. So quickly, we're going to go through the characters the characters, funny enough, but the players. We had Jay. These are the girls. We had Jay. She was the grandma, 70 years old. We have Winnie, African bartender. That's how I just wrote down for a note to remember. She was 31. We have Tolu, 26, African girl also, rep in Nigeria. Julie, entrepreneur, she's 28. We had Lindsay, she was the Mormon, and also this whole thing with her affair. She was 43. We had Simone, she was unemployed. She had daughters, I'm pretty sure, 55. And for the guys, we had Jules, he was the cop, 32. We had Brian, he was the rancher from Texas. Awesome. Honestly, we're gonna get into it. So yeah, I'm gonna start off shooting. So don't worry. We get Jake, military contractor, 37. Bryce, realtor, 22. He was the millionaire boy, Gasper, teacher 33. Yeah. I'm going to tell you guys who were my favorite during this. And I'm going to say every single one of the guys was my favorite until two of them made deliberately just stupid choices, bro. The like and I can't I realized when one of them became conflicted on a certain choice, but it didn't make sense based on what he was shown, at least to me. But again, he had his own deduction of what was going on, but still it just didn't make sense, right? I'm but I tried to put myself in his shoes for I'll get to that when I get to that, because I'm gonna try to find a way to summarize this in the best way possible, at least when it comes to the character. I keep saying characters because they were characters. Some of them were, at least, but especially Graham's. But I'm gonna try to sum up the players. I just need to get into it, bro. I can't be completely structured. I just have to let loose. Yeah, so that's it. They were really cool, and Brooke was the host. Before I even go into the next section, I would like to remind y'all, from the beginning, Brooke kept telling them, you have walked into this game as winners. That's what makes me feel like they had either if they knew, there was very specific pickings of who was going to come to this game show. But let's get into it. Again, because I'm finding it hard to just go out and start saying things, I want to preface it again. I understand that there's many multiple perspectives that exist in life, many different ways of life, many different areas and avenues and cards that we've all been dealt, and everyone has their shit and blah de blah. I truly understand this, and I'm taking this time to literally say that I don't mean this personally, but when it comes to unifying as people, right? When people wanting the world to be a better place for the future generation and our children, it's game shows like this that show, I feel like, that some people can say don't take it that deep, it's just a game. Right, but what really bugged me is a couple things. But one of the main things that bugged me is they went into this game show. They went into this knowing it was like basically a game of temptation. Who was going to be tempted the most to make the money, see how much more money they could win in this game, right? But they all went in as winners. And that almost showed that if you gave everybody what they wanted, to a degree or to an essence, there's still going to be people that want more. And I like how the show got to when it got to the point to where it ended, where some of them, as it was closing up on the game, where some of them, finally didn't start to admit they already felt like this, if it was from the beginning, was that I'm not going to take more than I need, And I feel like mindsets like that are where you get a true community, and where if people want the world to go into a better place where we're all not, there's not lonely people in this and everyone divided and blah, blah, blah. I feel like this type of attitude is what gets you there. Regardless of good or bad, understanding that mindset is what gets you there. And that's why this was called a game of greed, because it started off where everyone was winners, but there was still people greedier even after being a winner by default. It's like they were handing y'all 20. So this is how it started. I think it was $250,000 split between 11 people. You do the math, that's like 22,700, something like that. Like somewhere in that ball game, right? Ballpark. If they would have just played to the end, did not eliminate anyone, all those people would have went home with literally 22,000. And that shows you that is crazy. That is crazy. And I just can't get over that fact. That's why I kept thinking it was staged. I'm like, dude, I'm going to separate my emotions from this, because I immediately knew the first two people that were going to get out. And I'm going to say this, Jules, I did not enjoy his strategy going into the game. I don't know why he thought that was a smart strategy to break do the icebreaker with, you're a stripper and there's many other things you do and you're like this hustler mentality. I feel like that immediately points you out as you're going to be someone who's greedy, then you want more, you're a go-getter. There's a way to be confident and stand in your, stand on integrity in this being a family, like how Brian and the others played it. And I do still understand the perspective that he thought he's playing a game, so he's going in with a strategy, but that strategy falls through when you have, I'm not gonna lie, women like Tolu right off the bat, bro. Because it was just immediately this distrust. And throughout the show, one of the things that really bothered me with her, besides her repping Africa till the day we die in black and being sisters with Winnie, was was the fact that she kept saying her gut was never wrong, though she was lying the whole time and she was hurt. And I always say this, it's really easy to tell who doesn't listen to their gut or really doesn't have that woman's intuition, is because if they're a hurt person, then your gut's not guiding you in the right way. It's usually your brain. You're thinking you're having a gut feeling because you may be feeling something in your stomach, but I feel like that's more fear and anxiety, and it's literally shown throughout the show as she plays it. And I want to say, from the beginning, did she say it was a game and she was going to play it or whatever? Yeah, she did go in with that mindset. She wanted to win. She wanted to go. But what's so funny about this is the number one thing that Brooke kept repeating throughout the show to all of them: you are all already winners. And I thought, and I feel like the way some of the looks that Brooke had on her face, I feel like it was like the choices were probably blowing their minds. Like the votes were probably like blowing the producers and like Brooke's mind, like, wow, that they're doing this to each other, when she had to come in repeatedly for each voting off session and literally say, you guys don't have to vote tonight. And then there's a vote. Bro, that's insane. And then another thing that's that hit me is Tolu's mindset. My roommate actually talked about this, the whole mindset of being like a first generation immigrated over, and that whole mindset of those types of that type, if that's your backstory, that is, it can be very chaining to you. It can really hold you down, because there's a lot of pressure from your parents to feel like you owe it to them. And that's not a bad mindset at all, but you can see through the show and even the comments with on the literal trailer for the show that everyone picked up that she was literally projecting. And this is another question I had for the show was, were there certain parts being cut out? Because how did no one pick up or no one even say that Tola was the most emotional during the show? I actually came to this. I figured that it was that white guilt, black trauma dynamic happening. Like the black trauma was happening with Tolu, but then the rest of them, they like didn't want to speak up because it's this black queen, we're on camera, and if we say anything, it'll be this whole oppressed thing came up. And you even see this through her character as the game played on. She literally called Jake, we all should aspire to be as confident as a white man with blue eyes in America. I'm like, bro, they had to specifically find this girl. But what's crazy is this mindset is still one that plagues so many freaking black people, and it's so annoying for the fact that my family is half white. This shit, it doesn't tilt me. I don't have emotions in it, but it just makes me shake my head, because then it spreads into other parts of your personality. Not only are you so fucking proud of your own culture in Africa and Nigeria, blah blah blah, that's fine, but the fact that it actually like twists your psyche when coming into an environment and meeting new people, especially in a game where y'all were all winners. So that's why I could not take the excuse from anyone that would say that it's a game at the end of the day. It was a game where y'all all came in as winners. So there's not a near soul who could comment on this video and make me see that side. And this is coming from the dude that sees everyone's side. I truly was putting myself in everyone's shoes, and I'm just like, literally, it boiled down to this. Most of the men were trying to keep their integrity and go through and move through as a family. And then on the other side, most of the women were being absolutely snaky, manipulative, and it like literally proved that women are manipulative, and that was scary. Because, and that's why I say I will never completely 100% be on that belief. I know there are great women out there in the world that are open with their feelings, say things like it is, want straight answers, don't play these kind of mental gymnastics that just dudes just don't want to play, that you see during the show and the gaslighting and everything like this. But you definitely this show literally showed how manipulative like some can be, some women can be. And it scared me because I was like, if this is the general like the mindset of people like older than me, women older than me, that's crazy, bro, to me. And you know, and I've always gotten that I'm an old soul and I feel old. It's just like, but that is sad, bro. Is it like a level of maturity that they lack? Was it the insecurities and projection that Tolu had? Because Julie had her own too. What I did respect and I did own up to when I was watching it is that I respected them when they admitted to some of the insecurities, like when Tolu or whatever said she felt like her control was being taken away. But then she ruined that moment with literally saying that Jules was like out to get her, where he said literally he was trying to keep it together and he was like, look, and he was getting ready to admit, I'm pretty sure in the next episode, if he didn't get voted out, that he was a cop. Like he would have admitted it already. And that's why I say the white lies were not that bad, because look, it bit Bryce in the end too. He wanted to be looked at as a human, but of course he was looked at as a dollar sign because he was the kid that was the millionaire. And they completely, most of them completely judged them based on the million. And didn't even have the courage to stay. And that's what's so funny is they were acting somehow. It was so amazing to see the people who were playing the game as snakes and not trying to keep the integrity and not voting anyone else. It was amazing to see the people who played like that and didn't take accountability for playing like a snake and actually dance around accountability and not just straight up saying, no, you know, I was a snake. I was manipulative here and there. No, they just completely out of sight, out of mind. Did not even consider that they were literally just playing like a snake, saying things to twist votes and to get people off to get some more of the money. And even when it got to the end, it showed that too. It was like they would literally say, we're all playing a game, so it doesn't really matter. And I was like, oh, dude, it was just so, it was hard to watch for a lot of that. It was really hard to watch. I did not feel bad when Winnie got voted out and Tolu cried because of that bond. No, like I felt that human, I like the compassion. Yes, she's losing the person in this game that she thought was her sister. But truthfully, the thing that bothered me is what did they only bond off of? Both being African girls and both being strong, independent black. Like that was the energy from them. I was like, bro, like I was like, no, where did you find them? Like, if this is the general mindset of a lot of women and black women, then it still shows that there's so many cracks within. Yeah, they were just so emotional, bro. And I actually liked Winnie a lot. Winnie was cool. And let me be a bit more nice because I don't want it to make it seem like I'm just saying like I'm throwing a lot of things fast, like the whole black African pride shit, and then also the whole black independent strong woman shit, but that's the attitude she exuded. It was like she doesn't like giving up control. All this you can see it, the trauma, the things that like about her. And what was funny to me is everything I'm educated in with and experienced through my life with spirituality and metaphysical concepts. It's very funny that she doesn't like giving up control, and that's exactly what happens to her in the first episode. Because of that need to have so much control, you lost control, literally, like that. It was like reality mirroring it back to you. But she gunned for Jules. Like that blew my mind. Oh, that blew my mind, bro. And yeah. And literally, him and Simone came so honest. Like, look, everybody's name on the list was completely. They had the option to not tell anyone what they experienced in the vault, but they came up and told. And off the basis of that, they really had that. You're in the beginning stages of building the trust. And it's funny. You know what's funny too? I love how a lot of them had this idea that trust is built. I like the other side too. That trust. I'll have trust for you, but my trust is lost. So you'll have trust in the beginning, but as soon as you break that, it'll start going down. But other people on the team it's funny that the most manipulative people thought that trust was earned, because then it's like, well, if trust is earned, you can almost play that in the beginning. You can almost manipulate the growing of trust, where it's like, I can say certain things and move certain ways to make you trust me, rather than someone who right off the bat, if I'm giving you 100% trust based on meeting you and I see you do something sneaky, that can show me immediately. I can start chopping down the trust. But if you're building it, you can almost manipulate that relationship when it's built up. It's almost like finding out later down the line that this partner that you may be with is not the one for you. So it was funny that the ones who were the most manipulative had that mindset, that trust is built, which is okay. I actually understand that if it wasn't coming from someone manipulative. So it was just funny. But then even with that, it's literally saying that trust is built and you don't like control being taken away from you, took away control from Jules. In a game where you guys were already winners, you drew a line and made sides. And that's why I want to say too, I don't know if the game show was built, like, I don't know if, I just don't know, bro, because this is where it almost makes it feel staged for me. How did they come in and make teams when they literally, the whole premise of the show was that they were all a team? That shows you, like, it was really a show of greed, bro. Like, this was literally about greed, because, you know, even Julie came around in the end, and that her journey was beautiful, because when she found out that Bryce was the millionaire and that whole thing went on, her triggers came out. She came from nothing. She wasn't gonna like hearing this. And yeah, and literally when he was telling them, like, what can you say when you come out as a millionaire? What can you really say? It's gonna be hard to really make your case, which it was hard for him, but he was honest. He came for the experience, and he stood on everything he said. He'd been about the team the whole time, even where Jake was trying to take aim and get like Jay out, who was a little bit volatile on votes. He stood on his shit. But then even in the end, when y'all, like, everyone was, you know, just convinced he didn't need the money, no one had the balls to stand up and say they voted for him. So it just amazed me when it got later in the show. And I like that too, when Jake was like, wow, there's some fucking cowards in here. Because it's like, yeah, like, y'all voted, it is a game, y'all voted him out, whatever, but it's like, no one could say they voted for him, bro. Like, if y'all all generally kind of accepted that he, you know, y'all literally voted him out because you personally felt he didn't deserve the money. But see, that's just why a lot of it was fake from the women's side, where it was like, where the men were like, yo, everyone's deserving of the money. Bryce was still deserving of the experience, even if he didn't need the money. It just exposed them. I don't know how we get to the end and you could turn around and be like anyone who was lying, manipulating, and playing the game could put themselves on a moral high horse, because there were players that tried to. It was just wow. And then what I feel really just, dude, when the guys were fucking up, first of all, the challenge, they really, the show's producers and Brooke thought of, if Brooke helped or she was just the host, they thought of some crazy challenges for them. Like having where Jake put himself first when they were rating like intelligence and everything. And I feel like intelligence is a spectrum and people are intelligent in different fields. There's even a diagram that I talk about. Like, I don't know what the diagram is called. Let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, so the I guess right here is called the multiple intelligence model. Linguistics intelligence, existential intelligence, naturalist intelligence, interpersonal intelligence. I could just show this on screen. So right here, the one I'm looking at is right here. Interpersonal, visual, spatial, body, kinesthetic, musical, rhythmic, intelligence, logical, mathematical. This is what bothered me about when they were basing their intelligence, because it's really hard to deem what true intelligence is, and it's definitely not education. And you know what made it even funnier about this? I had a girl I knew who was a psychology major, and I'm not talking shit on any of these people who go into psychology, but you know what's funny about most people that go into psychology and do that is that they have the most psychologically fucked up problems, or that they have no confidence in themselves. And that's not wrong. I just found it as a funny dynamic, almost like the therapist has a therapist idea, where you where it's like you went in, and it's cool because if you want to know how the brain works and the brain ticks and all this, I understand doing that. Like, but I've done it without having to go get a degree. So it's really funny when people bring that up as I'm intelligent, I have a degree in psychology, but then they're like literally sometimes the worst at reading people, the worst at knowing how the mind works, or just the worst at knowing authentically who they are. It's just funny that it shows that you got educated on it, but now did you really apply it, or did you? And I'm not saying this to talk shit on anyone. I'm just saying it's just very funny how that happens, and then they're still looking for outlets to help them with their own mind. But yeah, intelligence is divided. So it's very hard to say who's intelligent and who is not, because then it's just like it's strange. You can because I feel like it's just based on multiple things. There are absolutely musical geniuses where all of us here, it's a musical universe, the universe song, universe, it's a song, right? So there are absolutely music geniuses that understand the frequencies of songs, the hertz, the vibrations, the hooks, the melodies, the way the song is pieced together, the affirmations within the song, that some people out here who would probably be like a naturalist intelligence would have no fucking idea where to start to even make a song. But then the naturalist's song would be nature. See what I'm saying? The herbivores, the botanists, the things like that, where, you know, and I feel like in shows when they do this to people, when they have you line up and rate everyone's intelligence, it's literally just like a foul type of dick measuring contest. That's truly how I feel. I feel like it's, you know, and even Jake himself said he doesn't think, like, I bet he was feeling this the whole time. It got to the end when it was like most loyal and stuff, where he said he doesn't even feel like there should be a bottom 5 here. Like, he feels like he wants to kind of give it to everyone. And what I also like is Brian and most of the guys were using that rating system to see people's egos and how people will react. And Jake really took a risk by outing himself out as the leader. I'm actually impressed he made it to the end, but my roommate even said he reminded her of me. And I do that too. I like how he took action and did everything. I'm not completely that alpha when it comes to it. I try to be the calm leader where I come together, really try to listen to everybody. I would say like my personality was more close to Brian and Gasper, but it was more a combination of Jake, that leader, that taking that role and really trying to see it from everyone. That's why I say I see everyone's perspective, and I really see Tolu, but I do not like how she came in, because that is a lot of my people, bro. This black fucking pride. And I'm not saying it's bad, but you know, the pride, that saying the pride comes before the fall. It's like, be confident in yourself. Be you. Be authentic. Be authentically you. But always remind yourself, or just grow in that aspect of your mind where you're in a group around other people. Especially the game exposed the greed. Like, for real, you're in a game where y'all all came in as winners, and you're over here acting like your control is being taken away from you in this, and you gotta manipulate, and look, you're gonna play it like this, and you're gonna do this. And I'm like, but you're already winners. Like, what did you come to prove? If you would have made it to the game and played just, because, like, you know, when people like talk about, they're strangers, right? So I don't even want to say this, but if everyone is a reflection of you in reality, if we're all one, if we're all going to one source, you would think like the way you care about your family and doing things for your family, you can put yourself in everyone's shoes and be like, look, we all have our shit, which Simone did. They got Simone out, funny enough, and Simone was one of the women that were the most honest about everything. Literally the sweetheart. Literally Bryce and all them mostly started crying when she got voted out, because they were all stuck. They were all like, what? Like, like Jules and Simone were two of the most honest people on there, and just got booted. And even, I'm saying this even including the white lie, because the white lies were strategic. If they knew Bryce was the millionaire right off the bat, he would have been booted off. So he wanted to play for the experience. I mean, we have to believe him. It's from the horse's mouth. We don't know if he's lying or telling the truth. Really, a lot of his mannerisms and everything didn't really seem like he was lying. It seemed like he really wanted to come, like for most of them, come, be who they were. And it's sad that he really had to walk away with the experience, that they truly didn't see him as he was without the dollar sign. They seen him as a dollar sign when they voted him out. That, to me, that feels horrible, because I know how it is being an authentic person. You're literally like an alien from anyone else. I feel like even when I share like my own ideology online and it inspires people, that even to that degree that people still don't understand me. But it doesn't push me to the point like Tolu over here, where I'm literally getting, it was almost like she was getting mad that she wasn't being accepted or that her control was being taken away from her. And of course, this white man over here is being the leader and stepping up. It's like, no, you can step up too. Jake acknowledged that Winnie was a leader. Like, she was one of the other dangerous players and how she was playing the game. But it just felt like Tolu had so much hurt, so much stuff riding on this, that it just affected her different than everyone else, you know? And I don't know. It just, to me, the show kind of showed greed, but it also showed people who weren't taking the time, I guess, to heal from their trauma, but they were successful in certain fields. And then another thing, it had shown that, what do I want to say? Let me pause so I'm not sitting here forever. Sadly, this is one of the points. It had shown that, at least from this cast, because I'm not going to let this cast speak for the majority of women out there, the women's side of the cast, that, like, I feel like Simone speaks for the majority of good women that are out there. I'm not even saying Tolu and Julie and them were bad women, but right off the bat, they came in with the attitude like, I can manipulate people and I'm going to win this game. But it's like, you guys already came in as winners. So you're literally coming in with a already established delusion, because you guys all would have won if nobody voted anyone out. So it was literally about just making the pot bigger. So I don't know. And I'm not saying that to make them feel shitty, but it's just like, bro, it's odd, bro. It's odd that they came in feeling like it needs to be a split. It's a battle. We need to have the clicks. Like, this wasn't Survivor. This wasn't Big Brother. You weren't competing against each other. Y'all were winners. I guess one of the other things is shown that you really need to heal your trauma in life, because it can really just start dictating the way you appear or come off to people. And then you got a boatload of stuff to apologize for. Like, and that's honestly also the first step, is awareness. But it felt like Tolu did not have any awareness. And I still don't even know towards the end if she had any awareness, you know, like, and most of them even said at the end, it was really amazing that they could get that far to the end. And literally, even someone that was on there that saved, that, you know, was saved, still was able to make that choice to take money from the pot in the end. That just shows you it was really a show exposing greed. And you know what also exposed? It exposed the people, like, the lengths people will go through to gaslight, and also, like, just completely write off someone's character. Like, you don't, you know, and I can still see, like, Julie's growth throughout the whole thing amazed me, bro. I thought the relationship between her and Jake was, like, stupid at first, or she really thought she was, like, manipulating him, which is why I say I feel like a lot got cut out, because he was really tactical and really strategic and really, like, smart. And I was like, dude, I would be playing the game like him, except when he put himself as the smartest, I was like, dude, you were looking to get outed. Like, why would you do that? And then what kind of made me go, bro, is when he sent Bryce and Gasper to the to the vault. I was like, oh, Jake's going home for sure when that happened, but it didn't, and he pulled through, which is amazing. But yeah, the show also really showed that too. But again, I don't want to let just these 11 cast members speak for humanity as a whole, but it showed what is that underlying perspectives of a lot of people that are sometimes toxic mindsets, and can show you that, you know, anyone's allowed to play this game and incarnate on Earth, but really where it is self-preservation to benefit others at the end of the day. I really like what Lindsay said when she said that, you know, you should come into these games or come into these groups worrying about your survival first, because you can't even care for someone else if you don't care for yourself first. And her point was really well, and I feel like she should have been at the end with them and not voted off. Like, I felt like Tolu, no, I feel like they were all deserving, but I feel like his mistake, bro, made, you know, it's kind of like this reality thing. I can't really say 100% that someone should have or shouldn't have won. I feel like they were all deserving to win. They all played a hard game. They went in, but off of the context that the game started with all of them as winners, I felt like over time, if they're gonna, you know what, I'm gonna say this is appropriate. If they felt like Bryce wasn't deserving of the money, and you know who I say when I say they, because it was specific, it wasn't the guys. They did not vote for Bryce. None of them. The guys, literally the entire game, did not vote for anyone. It was only the women. That's why I said I don't want to say that it was showing women are more manipulative, but kind of looked like that. But I've seen videos pop up where people were just saying it was the worst cast, and I'm like, no, the guys were awesome. Literally, it was like a bromance the whole show. But what I am confused about, how like they didn't catch it towards the beginning, that the top four were Tolu, Winnie, Julie, and Lindsay and Jay. You know, I don't know how they didn't catch it earlier, which is why I'm saying were certain things edited out of the show to kind of get the consistency going. But even some of the confessionals, it's like nobody could really figure out who was throwing the votes. And I'm like, y'all couldn't figure this out? Like, I feel like if I was in one of these game shows, I would literally pick it apart instantly. Like, they would have to get rid of me quick. And I don't know if that's just being a gamer or whatever the case may be, but I think I have really high confidence in my skills and detectiveness to absolutely see through, at least even in a game like that. What sucks is they started off as winners. I'm going to keep saying it. They started off as winners. No one had to vote anyway. So it literally just immediately showed greed. So if anyone tried to play the moral high horse and they came in with the intention to vote people out, then that you know, but then of course it's like comedy. It's under the guise of a game show. So what do you really say? Everything I say could really be invalid because they're playing a game. But it did show greed. It did show greed. And it also showed a lot of what happens when you do not handle your trauma and you project on everyone and you're just blah, blah, blah. And one thing that really didn't sit well with me with Tolu, and why I was going in on her in my other parts too, and I'm really not trying to go so in on her in this one, is the fact that she said she didn't like that Jake was like, oh, my two African queens. Or he said, I'm with my two African like queens right here. She didn't like that. And she said like Africa, like I'm Nigerian or something like that, which I'm like, you literally, he's saying that based on how you came in the house and you wear a fucking African pendant. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, dude, oh, that shit bothers me, bro. That shit bothers me. Be proud of who you are. But if like your whole identity is being African and black, it's like, what? Black people were all over the world. We were all over the fucking world. We were in America. We were over here. We were here. We were here. There were black people everywhere. Like, it's the point about being human, man. It's just being human. If we keep seeing color, like seeing color like this is literally a divide. It's still a divide. It felt like at every turn she was going to call him a white man if she had the chance. And he didn't even come off like that. He didn't even come off like, you can watch it for yourself and tell me he did not come off. He came off as a dude who wanted to take up being the leader role. And immediately when things didn't go his way, he took the weight and felt like, damn, like, you know, I'm sorry. Like even Lindsay, where her trauma, she threw a whole tantrum and ran off at 40 years old. Like that really shows you how you need to handle your trauma. Like that shit was hilarious to me. I was like, you know, she's been through some shit and I don't know about the rest of her life, but I do relate it to me and my path because I'm like, damn, it just comes down to this one thing. I'm not saying I know 100% how to be a woman. No, I'm not saying even 100% how I know exactly how to be a man. But the truth is, at the end of the day, I know that to be a better person and to grow and to get to the next step of your life, you have to level up your mindset. You have to level up your consciousness. You have to go up and be able to let go of the past, be able to understand that life happens and life flows. And it felt like some of them did not have that embodied, most of the women. And it was just like, I don't even know, man. Like, dude, I've had things happen to me that I've admitted in some videos, if you can find them, where I can tell you all my life story and it leaves some people shocked. Actually, my bro and I were talking about this today to our roommate. We were telling her, like, you know, it's really amazing how we came out, because I really say it's the soul at the end of the day, because I could have been another cliche, stereotypical in the system, or in this matrix of reality, where you just look at a black person and you could be like, you could just say messed up things where I don't really think you should be judging anyways, but you could look at someone and just be like, oh, he's probably like a hood rat or this, or from the bottom or whatever. It's like, could have fell into that lifestyle easily. In the case of my soul, I'm not going to claim it would have been that easy, but a lot of the events that I went through in my life, you would look at me and think like, how am I not a murderer in game? How am I not an in-game murderer? YouTube, playing like murder mystery, that game. But how did I not end up a straight killer in game? Like a killer on the beat. There's a lot of things that happened in my life where it's like, yeah, you would look at that and be like, damn, that happened to a 3-year-old in this. And I'm just like, yeah, but you don't see my trauma making me come out a complete like psychopathic narcissist on some other level. And literally they were throwing these words, like the narcissist part, at Jake. And I'm like, dude, they had the worst read on people. And Tolu talking about her fucking gut feeling. I guess your gut feeling was right in the sense that it took you to the end, but it was not a gut feeling on reading people correctly. You did not know what you were doing. You were just literally trying to manipulate and play your cards right. That's all it was, because their plan fumbled. It ended up cracking. It eventually ended up cracking because I felt like that was also a representation of the good eventually prevails, or like the truth eventually prevails. The truth comes through, the truth comes to light. So, and I'm glad Winnie got her deal with the money and everything. And, I'm glad she still got something, because she played hard and she was really cool for the majority. But what I really didn't like is how they were trying to, I'm so glad Jules did not crack. In a lot of moments, like in one moment, my roommate thought that Bryce was going to crack when he went down to the vault with Jake, because he was alpha and everything. And I said, no, but because I can see Bryce. I like almost feel Bryce, even not, I guess, being around rich people before, but like the fact that he commissions, like, people closing on deals, kind of being like a shark, and his mom being kind of like a dog in this field. He knows what to look for. So I knew he wasn't going to easily bend over. But boom, Tolu, I'm pretty sure her confessional said, what's going to happen is when they get down there, Bryce is probably just going to listen to whatever Jake says. It's like, y'all just were not trying to see him, which made his point. And I was like, bro, oh my God. That's why I'm saying, if y'all go and watch, you will understand why I'm kind of saying the things I'm saying. I'm trying to be as respectful as possible. Like, they were all cool, but she obviously needed to really get her perspective together. She just kept saying, like, when they would say things like, about like the rainbow or something, or, like everything will blossom. She's over here, but yeah, know that everything that blossoms dies and comes to an end. And yeah, just remember there's pain. Yeah, just remember not everything's easy. Please look at me say more shit about black people being oppressed. Like, she never brought that up, but that's what it felt like. She felt oppressed. like just say it out loud. Just say it. Don't hint at it. Just say it. What? There's a lot of darkness in your life and everything. And it's like, I can't even say that feeling like a black person. Have I felt like prejudice and things and people look at me different ways? Yes, I've had experiences literally happen. I had a cop where, again, I still don't hold it to them, because I guess maybe I'm just a different soul. Maybe I'm really reincarnated. Well, Buddha's done reincarnated. Maybe I'm his cousin. But there's literally a cop that we were going to a concert, and there was a man who got robbed in broad daylight, and the cop picks 2 black kids. Mind you, you want to know what's so funny? And I wonder if he just did not realize we caught him deliberately lie to our face. The man who got robbed, I asked, because when you just pay attention to people, look, get the book Dark Psychology. I don't even want to give game. Look, if you just listen to someone, they eventually, if you're someone who has really nothing to hide, nothing, whatever, depends on how you play it. But if you're talking to someone who is trying to withhold information from you, literally just talking to them and allowing them to talk and to continue to talk, they will eventually give themselves up without having any little psychological tricks without any little manipulation and slick twisting words, double speak political thing. It is easy to get the truth from people. They end up like just like telling on themselves. That's like what it is. It's like even when you go to therapy and like you already go into therapy knowing your problem. The therapist doesn't even really bring it out of you or bring you a new perspective. It's really awakening a perspective that you already had in your own mind, at least from my perspective. I mean, it's played out in every experience I had. But the cop literally comes up to us and he goes, there was a guy robbed in broad daylight. And I said, well, where's the guy that got robbed? Why is he not with y'all, like taking you to identify who robbed him? Didn't answer me. He said, oh, no, like he's good. We got another unit on it. Said something quick like that. I said, okay. He said, can y'all just come with me real quick? And we said, well, we're running to a friend's house because we got to catch an Uber. So can y'all meet us at that house right there? They said, yeah, they were totally fine with that. Imagine if we dipped on them. So we go to the house and our friend's coming out. The Uber's outside. The Uber driver's a funny one too. He was one of those cases where he was like a white guy getting offended on behalf of us. He was like, "Were y'all being racially profiled? No, I'm sick of this." And it's like, I think his wife was in the passenger. Honestly, I say that was a cool dude for him, but when people do that, like, it's a little bit cringe. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, I'm speaking a little fast there. Let me just be clear. When white people do that, it's a little bit cringe. I feel like you should not have to feel bad for your ancestors. It's really odd. But he was gun ho. Did that cop racially profile? Like, nah, we good. We're good, bro. We're good. But he brought us, he met us at the friend's house, wanted to get our information and everything. And I was like, wait, was the guy robbed by two people or one? Like, what was he wearing? I'm like interrogating the cops on the questions that they were probably asking the guy who was robbed. It was confusing. I was like, were they meeting quota? Did they just have to stop two black kids? Like, and we were young black kids. Also, what was funny to us is realistically, who is robbing someone in broad daylight? Oh, this world, bro. This video game. So yeah, I've had my fair share of experiences. And I don't want to say that it's because I have white Italian people in my family and things like that, that's the reason I'm not biased or unbiased. No, I've had a couple racial events that I know if from peers that I've had, if they were in that situation, they would try to scrap. I've been told many times from my peers, like, I don't know how you handle that, Drew. I don't know how you just stay calm. I don't know, because if that was me, I would have had to like do something to this person. I'm just like, bro, it's just not that serious to me, because I feel like when people do things to you, it's just a projection of their own fears and insecurities and things and blah, blah, blah. And I just wish more of, I'm going to say it, my people realize this, that there is no white man, white devil that we're fighting shit. It makes me throw up, bro. It's so nasty feeling to even say that. I love so many of the white people I've met. And it's like brothers and sisters, bro. We're all one. Honestly, we are. Like, honestly, we are. Whether being white is a genetic mutation, whether they say the shit about the Caucasus Mountains. But that's what really offended me about her character, is that, like, bro, like, this, you're 26, I'm 23, and you still have this mindset. And even when she said, like, she was gonna, I get the banding together and the little sisterhood between her and the other, they immediately tried to gang up on Julie. And that's why I love that Julie didn't fold during that part where they tried to gaslight her and tell her that Jake is not really going to care about her. I was like, bro, are you serious? But when it went to Julie's confessional where she said, I don't like when people try to control me like that, that's what had me weak about Tula. Tula literally said she doesn't like having her control taken away from her, and you guys are trying to influence Julie's control because y'all know y'all plan has failed. It literally was a game where all of you were winners. No one had to vote anyone out. So this point blank came down to greed. Anyways, coming full story. If y'all don't know me, by the way, a lot of my videos end up like this. I'm really chaotic in my thought and in my speech but I tie everything back together. And that's one thing I want to say about that is she gave me a lot of that energy of like a black person who, like a black woman, if something racially motivated or something was said to her, she would probably go off more than trying to stay contained and kind of be one of those things like how I've handled it in the past. Like when he, like Then when the cop stopped us, I could have been like the Uber driver. I could have went off. But no, you know what's funny? If we're all reflections of each other, he technically was the reflection of the part of me that knew I could do that. I could have flipped out, but I didn't, because who cares? Like, truthfully, if you know you didn't do anything wrong, there are some cases where this isn't always the case, but we didn't do anything wrong, so I wasn't really scared. Like, you didn't see any of us nervous or anything, but truthfully, for that moment, bro, you were wasting your time. Y'all should have found the real culprits. Why, if the dude got robbed in broad daylight, how did, and also the direction that they said he was in didn't make sense either, which was very weird. Yeah, I'm not going to go off on that. I want to just use that to explain that I have no idea what this white man thing is, and we need to stop this. And that's why I say I don't know if the show specifically picked her, like they found a person like this. They were, oh, yep, first generation African rep. They're both African. Like, let's rep. I don't know, but Winnie was cool. But Tolu, I don't know. They were cool until the gaslighting and manipulating for a lot of them. I think I rather would have seen Lindsay at the end than Tolu. I'm gonna be completely honest, because Lindsay was right. They were gonna turn on her, and what's crazy is when you think about the whole entire game, they were already winners coming into the game. So it was really funny that one snake was trying to call another person a snake. It's like, these are not, but of course, Gasper, like people said in the trailer comments, I didn't know what they were talking about until I went back and watched it. Bro, I don't know what Tolu said made you conflicted, my brother. I don't know what. And I wish I would have got to see him admit it at the end. And also, I wish they had a whole thing where they brought everyone together. I don't know if it's in another episode or something, like off the show's season, where it was like the reunion of everyone at the end of the game, or see everyone at the end of the game. Because I would want to see what they all had to say to each other, especially Jules, that they got him out first. I would want to see that because it was so stupid. They literally did not have to. Oh, man. Hopefully I did that well and reviewed it well. I honestly think it was a cool game, but let's get to the conclusion. Okay, so what I want to conclude is I'm going to say this. Again, I do understand why they made certain decisions. I understand the pressure that was probably on them with a lot of these decisions. But for me, it's really sad that it really did come down to boys versus girls, and the men showed more integrity than any of the women except Simone. And I felt like Jay was just there to be a chaotic piece of the puzzle. Like, even her, I didn't even touch on certain things with her, because for me it was more, it didn't feel more personal. It felt like, yo, like these are the mindsets and perspectives of people who look like me when it came to Tolu and Winnie. And I hated that most of their worldview, like, not hated is a strong word, but I want to say it's because I use like hated a lot, but I use it casual more than actually saying I hate someone. So I'll say like this. I just dislike the perspective that, oh, this is how the world works and this is how the world works. It's like, no, it's not true. Not one worldview is right. That's why there's like the eightfold, I don't want to say the eightfold path, but there's many different paths and many different perspectives, and no one's one truth on what life truly is about is correct. Your own personal truth is. And you know what's funny with shows like this, I realized they never really bring on someone who is like that, who is truly open-minded. They brought on people with a lot of integrity, and it was great. It was lovely to see even some of them who had seemed like the most integrity out of the rest of them become tempted and still turn it down and be like, Brian, my integrity is not for sale. That was so beautiful. It was so beautiful to see that. And it was just scary to see that a lot of integrity lied with the men, and the women did not have a lot of integrity, except Simone. But they did stand on who they were and played the game to the best of their abilities. I do really like that. And then Jay, like right off the bat, when Jake was making certain decisions, like it had nothing to do with misogyny. And even my roommate, she said, yo, it's like, it must be that she's just one of those weirder old people, or like stuck in their ways old people wear, or just, I don't know, maybe catching on to the new lingo of nowadays. But I was happy for Jay's ending too, where where she got the money and went home. But even that was crazy to me that it lined up like that. That she got to go to the vault and her deal was she gets to take, I think it was like 30K and leave or something, or she got a pretty big portion, pretty big bag, and she had a lot of fun, played her game. But she was even shocked that you know, the cart, like the table was flipped on her head with everything she thought was going on, especially like with Lindsay, or who was really on her side. So she was done. And I was like, bro, that's why at some parts I thought it was staged. I was like, the literal beautiful synchronicity of her getting that deal specifically. I always say that when I see old contestants is, yeah, they play hard, you know, get it, but it's just, how long are you really gonna last mentally and everything? I don't think she was pretty tough. I don't think she reminded me partially of my grandma, but again, my grandma wouldn't see a dude do something or may try to be a leader or try to be like the head up front and then instantly go because he chose the girls in a certain order. It's misogyny. Like that's literally why I say that is the problem with what's going on nowadays. Dude, they were right off the jump ready to call my man's Jake a freaking narcissist. But yeah, man, Gaspar, you fumbled, and Jake, you fumbled at one point when you gave Lindsay a chip. Yeah, man, dude. At the poker game part, I was like, fumble, but it didn't really fumble because it did still work out in the end. So yeah, but again, the guys stood on integrity. Every single one. Bryce and Jules, they both stood on integrity. They all did. And it's really, really hard to say any of the women did. I say Julie came around and then stood on being with the guys and stood on we're not gonna vote anybody out. And I feel like Lindsay would have played, you know, and that's why I'm not even mad at Tolu taking the money at the end. I said I'm happy for her. I'm glad because her main goal was bring this money back to her family, and she did that. So much power to her. It was mostly her perspective on life that was like, yo, you need to level up, because if you move through life like that, how are you ever going to really trust people? Or how are you even going to have a partner? Or how did your parents find each other? It's like those are the questions that I ask myself when I think about people who see the world like this. Oh, it's not like this. It's not like that. But obviously in Brian, Jake, and whatever is reality of somewhat the military and somewhat even life now, that it is like that, where you can have integrity. You can not be tempted by what Brian said was the devil. And Gasper too, like he's setting an example for his students. And for most of them, it was setting an example. Even Bryce, he wanted to show that he's not his dollar sign. And I feel like Jules, he even would have stood for something really cool. So it sucks that we didn't get to see more from his character, because they literally could have went the first night without voting anyone out. And we would have seen a little bit more of him, and I really would have wanted to see the dynamic with him in the house. And I think because the girls were gunning for let's keep all the girls together and just get someone out, Jules was ultimately the first guy to go. I felt like it because he came out way too extroverted. And I feel like him and other cops should not be afraid if they're in a game show to come out as a cop, regardless of what someone's perspective of you is going to be. He should have just been chilling him like he was at the table when he said we really did pick honestly and fairly, and he should have just came out and said he was a cop. I think his strategy coming in was just stupid, and that's what got him voted out, to be honest with you. You know, they immediately said he's really good looking. They acknowledged that he had his shirt unbuttoned like that and said like, oh, look at this is a playboy and all this. And they were even shocked that some of the questions weren't him, like the cheating and the having like 150 partners. He was like, damn, I don't know if I should be, offended or honored. Yeah, and it's like, it was just so easy. That's what it was. Him saying he was a stripper and coming out so extroverted was like low hanging fruit. Like if anyone was getting kicked out, it was going to be him right off the bat. Bryce was too sweetheart. Gasper was too teacher vibe, sweetheart. Brian was quiet, rancher, kind of astute, honest. And then Jake, again, military contractor, leader, had a confident frame about him, but not too overbearing. And then you got Jules, who I feel like just came out the gate. Yeah, I'm a hustler. I got some stuff on the side, and you told the wrong group of people, buddy. That's why I wish I would have got to see. I'm gonna go find if there's any videos of Jules after playing that game. Let's see if I can find one now. I can't really find any. One note I want to end on too is I feel like some of the most intelligent people are the most self-aware, and the most self-aware people and the ones that have come to a high degree of understanding of life and what it means to them are some of the most dangerous people too, and cunning, right? But they make for some of the coolest people to see in a game. It'd be really crazy to see a game show. I feel like for a game show, you do have to have personalities that are out there, right? And I feel like that's what they built up with the women's side of things. These were really cool, like hardworking and at least strong in the degree of strong-willed. You know, like Julie even said it, like she didn't know in the beginning of the show if she was either going to be best friends with the women or enemies, because they had that frame, that frame where they were. Oh, why did that lag like that? My camera just froze weird, but I don't know if it did it in recording. But had that frame where it was like, you know, ooh, macho, I got me, sort of thing. So she didn't know, and that was totally right. But in the sense of like self-awareness, I don't know. I don't know if some of them were being just intentionally delusional. I don't know. Julie was kind of like sweet, but she almost let her trauma get the best of her at some points too. Yeah. I don't know, man. That really just felt like the show should have been guys versus girls, women versus men. I'm really telling you. Because that's like what it ultimately ended up being when it started as a show where everyone was a winner. I don't think you get how insane that is to me, that a show where, yes, it was about greed, but then that would mean you were making the conscious effort to play greedy if you played like that. So I don't think there's any moral high ground you could take if that's what it was about. I'm sorry. The game, you guys all started off as winners, and then it started to the chain reaction of voting people out. 11 went down to 5. I'm going to say this. Well played to everyone. And I do understand the point that it was a game. But oh man, was it just really upsetting to see a group of people go into a game where everyone was already winners and still be greedier for more. If you know what to do with your money, 22,000 split is a lot of money that can change your life depending on what you do with it in the moment. So I'm just hoping for the benefit of those people, they used the money wisely, they enjoyed it. For the ones who played manipulative, like not maliciously, I don't want to say anyone had malicious intent. It is a game. But, you know, then to the ones who did play with integrity, big ups to you guys. You did phenomenal. It was mostly the guys. So, score 1 for the guys. I'm trying to keep it like fun and light and trying to keep a serious tone on like, damn, like humanity, like, damn, people, like you really got to reflect and look at yourself. Hopefully this show really makes you look at yourself. Like for my roommate, she was looking at the girl who was the first generation immigrant, because she's first generation. So she was like feeling her, but her personality annoyed her instantly after. And she said, I knew a girl like that when she was going to school. And yeah, and sometimes like the pride can get to the best of you where that, and that's cool. If that's authentically her and she's going to be that for when she gets older and whatever through life, more power to her. But I feel like that type of personality alienates you from a lot of people. And honestly, if you're okay with that, that's cool. But what's sad to me is I feel like someone like that would think, well, oh yeah, well, everything happens for a reason, right? And, you know, then those people that don't want to be around my personality type anyways weren't meant to be around me. But it's like, that's not the case. What if you were actually, you know, cutting off people that may want to meet you or may want to talk to you? Like genuinely think it'd be down to earth to get to know you, but you were so prideful and so like judgmental off the bat, or like in secret. What if a Jake, not a Jake type, but someone like Jake, because like she just exposed herself by saying like a white man in America, we should all strive to be as confident. It kind of showed immediately what you thought about white people. Not to say that that's wrong or anything that's wrong with the mindset, but it's like I just feel like you're separating a whole group of a whole like yeah, a whole portion of humanity that is like white. And there's some really down to earth cool people on that side. Like Brian. They were all really, really, really cool, man. Like Gasper. I think it was more personal. I think she liked Gasper and Brian for sure. But it just felt weird. I don't know. That's all I'm going to say on that. Well played to all of them. I like the show. I just wish I knew more. I really don't know. Like anything to say about the show is it felt like certain things were cut out. So at least if there was ever a part 2 or anything, or for anyone who makes game shows, if like one of the producers are going to watch this, try to get as much from the secret conversations as you can. I know it's probably a challenge to know what to keep in and what to cut out, but how did no one suspect that Tolu and Winnie and them were going to be a strong force in the beginning? It was going to be girls versus guys. I know that was probably left up for us, the watcher, going like, oh yeah, I mean, it would be kind of obvious that the guys knew the girls were going to get into some sort of collective and try to partner up. But it almost didn't feel like anyone noticed who was voting anyone out. And I was just like, they were mind blown when they found out Lindsay and Tolu and I think Julie maybe voted Jules out. I don't know, but again, because the guys were just so fair and honest, it didn't matter that they voted out Jewel in the end, because it was a game where you could bring everyone to the end, but it just felt weird that certain decisions were made off of who is deserving and who's not. And the fact that Tolu, I don't want to, it's just like, if they were going to continue to play the game, nah, I'm done. This is the conclusion. It's just weird, man. It's like at some points it mattered who deserved the money or not. And at some moments it didn't. And mostly it was, we got to keep our favorite person in. And then, I don't know. I don't know if I can necessarily say I like how it was played. For the guys, I like how every single guy played 100%, except Jules. Jules, Julie, Jules, Joel. It's because of Joel Hansen, his YouTube. But Jules and Julie. So Jules, except for him, you could have lasted longer, brother. But yeah, that was it. Show wasn't too bad. I still getting to the end. I felt like everything made sense. I knew when Simone was going. I knew when Bryce was going. It kind of everything was set up because the game was really straightforward. So all the votes were really straightforward too, on like who they were going to be gunning for. That's it for me. I'm done. I'm getting pretty tired saying this because like I am trying to also say certain things so I'm not like offending anyone, but I feel like this show just exposed that like, no, it's not true. Everyone can have different perspectives. You guys can still unite. It doesn't have to be this thing where the world is just straight up black and white. Like, no, there is pain. No, there is higher and lower vibrations, but life doesn't have to be this bleak suffering. There's going to be pain though. Like, trust me, it's going to rain one day. It's because then someone else could say, just like me, my mother and I love rainy days, like Native Americans. So like, or I'm indigenous. So, that I love rain. I think of like the Thunderbird. I think of like thunder and skies and that being my element, my power, a part of being, my sign. But yeah, like it's my element, thunderstorms and this. And I find the calm in the storm. It's like, so every perspective was just laid out. It's not just like some of them were so set on that's not how the world works. And it's like, well, the world works, to me at least, from what I've experienced, the world works depending on how you see the world. It's going to reflect it back to you because the world is a mirror. But that's me. Y'all don't have to believe that. I think that's a good note to end on. All the players, again, well done. Show, all right. I feel like it's just sad. It really is sad that they went in all winners and then it was literally basically a show just showing you greed, pretty much. And a lot of integrity, that there are people out there with a lot of integrity. I think that's it. And it showed that people could grow and find a newfound respect for themselves and others and learn how to share too. There's a lot of lessons to take from it. All right, guys, let me know what you think down below. I'm going to read the comments. I'm going to be careful on how I read this one because I don't know. I said some things. I know they're going to be taken certain ways. And honestly, the best thing when with negative comments sometimes is just ignore them, bro. Yeah. Because I knew I was going to be hard on Tolu. I don't know. Alrighty, I'm out of here. Peace. This has to be on record. So we're watching the show the Trust on Netflix. And what do we say? The first two people to go. The first, bro. I knew from
the most honest people from that whole entire cast.
Yep. Even with the white lies, because it was a strategy. It's a game. But it's crazy. The people with the most trauma who could not heal from their past are still in and we're on. This is episode 3?
Yeah, this is episode 3.
Insane. Now, there's still some honest people from what we see right now by the time I'm making this little review. But dude, I gotta air something out. This is a disgusting show of the flaw that is humanity, bro. They walked into this game knowing they were winners. And I knew immediately before watching this to hold my emotions back and just watch it as entertainment and be like, wow, some decisions will be crazy. We called it. We called the first two people that would be gone. Insane. I said right after one, we'll get to this later in the video, but right after one of them went, I said, oh, they're gonna gun for the other person. No matter how it seemed in that next episode with somebody else who started making a couple of mistakes and putting a target on their back, it didn't matter. Knew. Because you could read it. This whole, it almost, I don't know. I'm still asking myself if it's staged.
The game plan, like it had to have been strategic to vote her out.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. We didn't even, I'm going to be honest about that. We skipped through after we saw like a lot of the personalities of these people. It's crazy, man. It's really crazy.